Hi everyone, welcome back. So today we're checking out another interesting free plugin that claims to control the dynamics of a recorded vocals and at the same time take care of the excessive S's in the recorded vocals. And as you can see on the screen, the plugin is called ATK Speech Limiter. According to the developer, which is ATK Audio, they said that this plugin is actually designed for live streaming, podcasts, and things like that. So today I tested it and realized that this plugin is actually doing an amazing work. You know, like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. But honestly, I was impressed with both the dynamic control and the de-esser feature. Although you are limited to what you can actually do by, going in there, fine-tuning certain things like the attack, release, look ahead, and things like that, you don't have such controls on this plugin. So without wasting much of your time, let's jump right into the demonstration so that you can see and hear it in action and see if it is worth keeping or not. Now, looking at the UI, this plugin only has 4 knobs: the Pregain, which you use in setting the input signal, the threshold, which you will use in controlling those excessive dynamics, the ceiling, which is for setting the overall output gain, and finally the de-ess knob. Alright, so inside FL Studio, I have a recorded vocal, which is actually a cutout from a plugin review I made. So I just sampled a little section from the video, which has a lot of dynamic issue, as you can see, for today's demonstration. So the first thing is to reset everything. All right. So now I play the audio, then I set it, then we'll now bounce it and then see the difference. What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitor? Sound closer to, 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 sound closer to. Alright, so at this point, I will render this. Have in mind, this is just for a quick demonstration. If you are doing this, invest time to make sure the settings are actually what and where you want it to be. So at this point, let's render it and then compare the two, both by the sound and by the graphics, by the visuals. Alright, now we have it. So you can clearly see that this plugin is actually an interesting tool, a very good one at that. Just by looking at the difference, you can see it really controlled those peaks, those dynamics, but at the same time retaining the core texture and quality of your original audio. Now let's listen to the process. What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? And you can agree with me, this plugin did an amazing job. The only thing I'm hearing here is low end became more audible. I mean, it is pulling up all those quieter part of the audio, at the same time compressing the louder part. So I believe that's the reason. So to further process it, you can send it to a mixer track, add your EQ, and get rid of all those low-end information. What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? What if your $50 headphones could sound closer to a very expensive studio monitors? And guys, you heard it. That is it. So if you're looking for a plugin for your podcast recordings, your live streams, or even music production that can actually control your dynamics and excessive S from the recorded vocals, I would suggest you try this one. It is available for free. And also let us know exactly what you think about it in the comment section. Do you think it's a pass or a keep? Looking forward to your comments below. And guys, if you want to check out another plugin from the same developer that ducks down the background music when someone is talking and releases the background music to come back to the normal level once that person stops talking automatically, watch the video on the screen. I believe you're going to like this plugin as well. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you found it helpful, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't. Most importantly, turn on your bell notification for more amazing content like this. As always, stay creative, stay focused, and bye for now.